Hello YouTube, Chrisiosity here. I have to apologize for the sound. I had a recent move and my good microphone is packed away, so I'm just using the crappy one on the computer. So yesterday I put out a video on Mouthy Buddha because it was brought to my attention that he may have been plagiarizing. That video itself had some issues, so I have taken it down and I'm putting up a different one that I think is more clear as to what's going on. So simply, Mouthy Buddha had put out a video called Why Gays Loved Le Pen on June 5th of 2017. He claimed to be simply reading his own thoughts, which he does over views of French monuments and stuff. And in fact, these are not his thoughts. He appears to be reading directly from an article that was published in the National Review Online a month prior by DeRoy Murdoch called Marine Le Pen, a surprising number of gay Frenchmen are with her. At some point after the election, he took down the video. As far as I know, he has never cited the article. He has never stated that this is what he did. He has never given any credit. I don't know if he made any money off of this video, either from patrons or from ads or whatnot. I simply don't know that. But as far as I know, he's never given anything to the writer, Mr. Murdoch. So I don't know. I got the original video from a site that just archives videos, among other things. And they also archived his description, and there's nothing in his description about it. What I'm going to do is just show the original video, which, like I said, there wasn't a lot of text or anything. It was just him reading over scenes, but I'm going to include the sections of the article that he's reading as he's reading it in little boxes, little windows, just so that people are aware. And then, if Mouthy has some sort of information on this, if there's some facts I don't know about it, if there's some explanation, I'd love to hear it. I'm sure people who are actual Mouthy Buddha fans would love to hear it. As far as I could tell, he simply plagiarized it. And that was that. So, yeah, I guess that's all the explanation I've got. I'll just show what I show. All right, YouTube. Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry to make you listen to a National Review Online article. I mean, really, who would plagiarize a National Review article? Imagine doing that. Imagine. That's not just dishonest. That's dishonest and having poor taste. Anyway, not important. Here it is. Thank you. Bye.
This was not intended to be a nothing fancy, but seeing as the vote is tomorrow, there is no way I would be able to finish this by then. So I will simply read to you my thoughts about tomorrow's election. As France decides its next president on Sunday, the National Front nominee Marine Le Pen embraces momentous support from an unlikely population: gay voters. According to a survey released Wednesday by Hornet, which is a gay social network, out of the over 5,000 people who finished the survey, 36.5% back Le Pen. But what is even more interesting is when we separate the statistics among age groups, which reveal that younger men from the ages of 18 to 29 exceed 40% in favor of Le Pen, and the figure jumps even higher for 25-year-olds. This study shows that 49% of 25-year-old gay men will be casting their vote toward Le Pen. But things begin to change when they get older. When evaluating gay men from 30 to 49, the figure drops to 32%, with 67.8% going to Emmanuel Macron. This is likely due to them being old enough to remember the National Front of Le Pen's father, who has been publicly excoriated as an anti-Semite and Holocaust denier, and who has also advocated quarantining AIDS patients in the 1980s. He called homosexuality a, quote, biological and social anomaly, and has also declared, quote, there are no queens in the National Front. But after Le Pen wrested control of the party from her father in 2011, her approach time and time again has been to completely disavow the rhetoric and political tactics of her father, and going as far in 2015 to completely remove her dad from the party, given his inability to curb his foolish rhetoric in public. Marine Le Pen told a French newspaper, quote, "My father was kicked out of the National Front. He does whatever he wants. It does not concern me anymore. I don't want to talk to him, and I'm not responsible for him or his inadmissible remarks." Le Pen's process of bringing a new face and future to the National Front has included denouncing anti-Semitism, appealing to Jewish voters, avoiding mass protests against gay marriage, and choosing gay men, one of which as her chief deputy and the other as her leading advisor. The party's high-profile activists include former fashion models Mathieu Chartreur and Bruno Clavet, both of whom are gay men. Last month, the Associated Press concluded, quote, "Marine Le Pen's National Front has more top aides who are publicly known to be gay than any other French political party." Le Pen is defying her father and attempting to create a kinder, gentler National Front. Her detractors spectate that these moves are purely political, given that the party has vowed to scrap gay marriage across the board. They say she is a wolf in sheep's clothing, hiring gay men and disavowing anti-Semitism only to paint a fake face of tolerance among the National Front, while internally maintaining the same divisive sympathies to far-right fascism her father so often publicly aligned with. And, as part of Le Pen's 144 pledges to the French people, pledge number 87 speaks to her conservative supporters and rejects the idea of gay marriage, which has been legal in France since 2013. But would allow for civil partnerships, lending credence to the idea that Le Pen cozying up to gays and having them work in powerful positions alongside her is merely an act. I personally do not know what Le Pen's intentions are with gay marriage. I agree with the majority of the French people that the law should stand as it is. But the more interesting question is, what's the real reason homosexuals are lining up in droves to back Le Pen? Many of the, quote, homo-nationalists, as they've been dubbed, applaud Le Pen's straight talk about Islamic fundamentalism's existential threat to French lives and lifestyles, with Le Pen saying, quote, "Islamism is a monstrous totalitarian ideology that has declared war on our nation, on reason, and on our civilization." She continues to say, "This war is being waged without pity and without respite. The response must be total across the country. I call for the awakening of our people's ancient soul, capable of opposing a bloodthirsty barbarism." She continues, "In France, we respect women. We don't beat them. We do not ask them to hide themselves behind a veil as if they are impure. We drink wine when we want. We can criticize religion and speak freely." End quote. Le Pen also wants to renew border checks and eject foreigners who are on France's terror watch list. And a point that needs to land, and a direct message from me that I'm giving to much of the mainstream media, is that the concerns Le Pen is expressing about challenging Islamism, about embracing French identity, French values and culture, is not far right. These ideas are deeply ethical and moral. She is standing up publicly for the rights of French women to be free in their own country. How is that far right? How is this racist? In all of Le Pen's critiques of Islamic fundamentalism, not once has she condemned Muslims as people. She merely expresses and voices concerns about a barbarous ideology that runs counter to the culture in France, a culture that is worthy of care and preservation. Because where are the gays really in danger? They are in danger in Islamic countries, and more of them completely understand this. A Parisian named Pascal told the BBC in April, quote, "Gay people are being crucified. It's a danger, and I do not want it coming to France." End quote. Well, it's a bit late for that, considering violent Muslim extremist homophobia has been battering France for years now. After the Orlando atrocity, Marine Le Pen observed, quote, "How much homosexuality is attacked in countries that live under the Islamist jackboot." End quote. And even after all of this, Le Pen remains the underdog on Sunday's ballot. But if she does win, if she is able to pull a victory, in many parts it will be thanks to voters like Kelvin Hopper, who is 25 years old, and is a gay artist and Le Pen supporter in Paris, who recently told the Associated Press, quote, "Faced with the current threats, particularly from radical Islam, gays have realized they will be the first victims of these barbarians, and only Marine is proposing radical solutions. So to all of you in France, please make the right decision. Vote Le Pen."